Coming along. Total genius. I mean, that's good, that works. Hello, I'm Robin Vincent and welcome to Modular DIY. I am grabbing a very quick opportunity to put together what I think, or I hope, is a very exciting and potentially revolutionary module. It's a Bastl Instruments KOMPAS. Now I thought I knew what this was about. I thought I did. I looked at it, read up about it, watched the strange video about it and thought, yeah, I think that's what I've been looking for. Because what I've been looking for is some kind of percussive solution. I have various things that can trigger drum sounds and other bits and pieces. I've played no end with the Bastl Arteritus alter, or whatever it's called. And in fact, the last time I had a go at it, it actually sounded pretty good. But most of the time, I'm just not really sure what's going on. I've also got a Behringer RD8 now, so essentially drum machines are covered. But percussion and drums within my rack is still something that's a little bit of a mystery and has not been satisfactory. Now, I've been very intrigued by the Euclidean circles, the Vladimir, what's his name, one, which is awesome. There's bright ring of 3 rings of brightness within everybody's rack and everybody uses it, and it seems like, yeah, that's exactly the sort of thing that I need. However, I've been put off not because it's not awesome, which it plainly is, but kind of because everybody has one. I was thinking there has to be perhaps another way of doing something similar, another way of getting probabilistic gates and triggers that you can run interesting drums with. I mean, I've played a lot with a random rhythm, which I'm pointing to over there from Vermona, and that has a lot of things going for it, but in some ways it's somehow a little bit too straight-laced. I've also looked at things like the pulsar from Qubit, I think it is. Oh, I forget now. But anyway, so when the KOMPAS came along, the idea is that it has 3 channels of probabilistic triggers or gates, possibly, that work together in a very interesting way, and how you can affect the probabilistic things of one that then feeds into another, and then those 2 combine to affect another. All of this sort of stuff sort of spoke to me, and I thought, oh yeah, maybe that's the one. And the kit version, which I have here, was not expensive, and so I thought, sod it, let's give that a go. Let's just give it a go. I mean, the video that they've done on it wasn't exactly convincing, but reading between the lines, looking between the frames, I thought, yeah, this could be the thing. And then it arrived. It comes with a 32-page booklet. 32 pages of like hand-typed sort of writing. It talks about, experimentation with the time-space continuum, that we must know the right time to forget as well as the right time to remember. Yeah, we've based our future readings on the false premise of infinite growth. It talks about how electronic music could be seen nowadays as actually having some kind of safety net. And do we want that? Should we want that? And how, if we could go back and make different decisions, we would probably miss the entire point of life. It talks about what if, time is moving in a non-linear fashion. It talks about climate change, dystopia. It talks about cellos and composer executors. It's completely fascinating. It's completely fascinating. And then the inventor of the KOMPAS starts talking about this tool being the outcome of the environment that we are in and is inspired by a non-linear approach to music and to life. Don't build any expectations. Choose your direction and discover new paths. This is awesome stuff. I love it. The final product never exists. It will always be just the latest version in a long line of versions towards a journey into something else. Yeah. Anyway, and in closing, he says that the KOMPAS can be many things and nothing at the same time. It can be a module for unpredictable sequencing or a developing tool for exploring Arduino possibilities in the modular environment. It can be a metaphor of daily life or a reminder for making our choices. Well, it sounds phenomenal. Exactly what this is going to do with my Eurorack, I don't know, but I'm going with it, man, because it sounds flipping exciting. It talks about plans and not having plans, and it might just be a path to follow rather than a plan to execute a plan that you have indeed constructed and yet are not the exact arbiter of. And what I love right at the end is this quote: "Everything not saved will be lost." Nintendo, quit screen message. That's genius. Right, so to the case in hand. What is it? I don't know. It's got 3 channels of stuff it's going to generate. That interests me. So I'm going to get stuck in and try to make it somehow in the next 2 hours. 2 hours? No, it's never enough time, but I'm going to give it a go. Thankfully, I found the build guide online because I was a bit worried because it didn't seem to have one, and all of the... It seemed like the resistors were named on the panel and I was going to have to go and find out exactly what they are and then relate them to this. But no, thankfully there's a build guide, so I'm going to get stuck into that. It also seems to come with a whole bunch of solder. I've never seen that before. That's nice. So what does it look like? Well, here's the front panel. See that? Interesting. And of course this is one of the new metal, I think it's metal. No, it's not quite metal. It's sort of PCB type material, dark and gold on the front rather than the old wood they used to do and the more recent aluminium panels. So this is an interesting thing. KOMPAS probability navigator. Find new routes. I definitely plan to, because this is part of a master plan. I'm currently going through a revolution of my Eurorack, which is very exciting. A couple of different bits coming together, which are probably going to mean I'm going to take half of the stuff out, or I'm going to have to build a bigger case. That's also likely. But I'm quite excited about the direction things are going and where that's going to lead me. So, ooh, exciting times, exciting times. We have 2 PCBs. We have a front and a back. Beautifully white. I love that. Really nice. And I have 2 bags of stuff, bottom, top. Doesn't look too difficult. There's not too many parts. This isn't like the Bastl instrument interface. I think I should get stuck in. Right, it says start with the bottom board first. Take your time to check the values of resistors with a multimeter. Yeah, right, I'm not going to be doing that, am I? Though, of course, yes, that's exactly what I should be doing. But, you know, time, it's pressing. Got things to do, places to go. I mean, it's Halloween today, so, you know, I've got people to give fright to, I suspect. Okay, so look at that. Look how few resistors I've got. Just a little bunch. Awesome. So it says start with the resistors, solder them to the bottom PCB to their spot and snip the leads. Oh, there's a whole row of them there. Look at that. So there should be 7 1K resistors. 5, 6, 7, which is probably these. Now the thing is that I do have a multimeter, and in these instructions they're not telling me what the colour codes are. So I suppose if I go to ohms and then put this either side of a resistor, that would tell me, right? This is supposed to be, so that says 997K, and it's supposed to be 1K. Yeah, cool, so that worked. Let me do this here on camera, look, see that? So I'm just putting my 2 points. I've put it to the ohm thing. So I'm just going touch, touch, watching it step up. There you go. Ooh, 1. It was 1 there for a minute. Yeah, cool. So let's put those in. So I have to look on the board itself to find out where these are going. But on the screen here, it does give me a clue as to where they are, but they're also labelled 1K, 1K. It's just that I don't have that list of resistors like I have on Bastl builds. Here it's given me a picture of the PCB with the resistors on, so that tells me exactly where they go. I mean, that's good, that works. It just took me a moment to work out what the heck was going on. So 1K there and there. So that's the resistors. Done, I think you'd say, in a jiffy. Yeah, interesting. It's very interesting having a different kit from a different manufacturer, if you know what I mean. I mean, I have done more than Bafako kits, but I've done a few Bafako kits now. And so this is interesting. You can definitely see where you've been because of the flux on the white board. But generally speaking, it's pretty straightforward. Right, diodes, headers, sockets, and then a couple of capacitors. Let's see if we can get all that done before we get into the power regulators. Good, so it's all going rather swimmingly so far, or at least I thought so, and then I've just noticed that I've soldered the diode in exactly the wrong place. I've soldered it in the bit that they crossed out to say, no, don't solder it here. And I went, oh, I'm going to solder it there. So that's completely wrong, that one. Oops. So I'm going to have to try to lever out of there. In some kind of way that would work. This probably isn't it. Tweezers, maybe tweezers. I need to get sort of underneath it. There we go. Maybe I can pull down that way. Oh no, I just put it back in. God darn it. See, with these sorts of things, I don't have a plan. I mean, you know, there should be a way of doing it, that I should do it properly, and I don't really have that. I'm just stabbing away things. So this needs to go through this one, D1. Probably going to need to take a load of solder off the leg to make that happen. That's better. All better now. All better now. God darn it. Right, the next bit is to do with this, which is a voltage regulator. It says bend the legs so that it goes in here and then bends down, but it suggests that you bend the legs first. So I guess a bit like that. Yeah, so what I did wrong there is that these need to be bent closer to themselves. Try that again. Okay, now there should be a screw and nut. Screw and nut. Super. It's coming along. Last little bit to do, which is to put the ICs in, which gives me an opportunity to use my little tool again. So this is a big chunky one. This is the Mega 328. It is the source of all the randomization and probabilities. Should I get it around the right way? That should go in there. That should be the bottom board. That was not difficult. There are a few bits left. Oh, you know what? I think I've skipped a whole load. Yeah, I've definitely skipped a load. Definitely skipped a load. Look, I've got a load of bits left. How can that be? That'd be because I'm not concentrating, evidently. So these have also got to go in. Look, I've got great big holes for them. Dear, oh dear. So electrolytic capacitors and transistors. Oh no, I did those as well. So these go over here somewhere, this way round. Yeah. Transistors are always annoying, so you've got to get that third leg into some kind of crazy situation. Ooh. So that should go like that. These are the same as far as I know. Good, right, now that I've actually finished it and put all the parts in that should have been in there, then yeah, there you go. So there you go, that's the bottom board. That's looking nice. It's looking nice. There's a couple of extras here, which apparently we're going to make use of later on. So I'm just going to put those to one side. And this is probably a good time to break for a little bit of lunch. And then I'll have about an hour to squeeze the rest of it in. Board number 2, this one, the top board. This is going to have all the bits and stuff on it. I'm so coherent. Yeah, I know. So resistors. Back to the resistors again. So in the top board bag, we have a bunch more resistors and then sockets and bits and pieces. Yeah, LEDs. Awesome. Right, doesn't look too difficult. Where are we now? We now need to start thinking about putting these things together and how these are going to work. And it's talking about spacers and screws. So I've got a spacer here somewhere. Now it's talking about these little bits we had before. So these fellas. What about those? And it's talking about these here. Right, so apparently these go into these, long into long. Right. And this one into here. These look like the sort of things that are going to fall out badly. Then we're back to this board. Sure I haven't missed a whole lot of stuff out on this board. I don't know. No, that's all sold in, that's all fine. So on this one, this is going to go at the end. Why did I put these together though? Which way up does it go? The other way up. It seems to go up that way around. How on earth are they soldering? They're not going to solder. So it doesn't say I should solder them yet. It just says put them together like that. Connect boards. Okay, and then do the soldering. Ah, right. So with this like this, those ones underneath, those that way around like that. Right, that's quite clever then. Assuming I can get all this together. Ah! Right. Okay, good. Excellent. I think that's going to work. That holds that together nicely. Okay, phew. How am I going to get under there? But I guess I can take it apart again once it's soldered, because these slot into each other. That's a good way of soldering it all so that it stays and lines up. Nice. Got it. Nice. I have to say, this solder smells different. Must be something in the Czech Republic solder that gives it this extra spice. It's kind of thick. The smoke is, I don't know, it's its own thing, man. That's all I can say. It's just a bit different. So yeah, that's soldered together quite nicely. And now the idea is that I can, once I've unscrewed it, should be able to pull it apart. Beautiful. And those are going to fit together perfectly. That's genius. Total genius. Now, we've got to talk about these bits here, the jacks and the front plate, which is here. It says I need to put the screw on first, this way round. Which screw? This needs to be there. So something must screw into it from the other side. I'm guessing it's this hex one. So that then goes there. Yeah, that makes some kind of sense. So I put that on. Now first up they say put the pots on. 1, 2, 3 pots. Now we have the LEDs. Longer lead is plus. White LEDs, longer lead is plus. Okay, then the 8 jacks. Ooh. How do these go around like that? Yeah, definitely like that. Cool, looking good, looking good. Place the faceplate on, add the spacer, like so. None of the jacks have got those screws on the top. Got the nuts attached, so they're all separate. That goes in there. Oh, that's interesting. I've just noticed that the LEDs don't have holes. They just go up behind a little more transparent bit, I guess. So I'm not having to worry about getting the LEDs exactly in a hole. They'll just, when I turn it upside down, gravity should take care of that. That's cool. Mount a few jacks with nuts. Add the spacer too. Then it's suggesting I should hold it together. Use the spacer. Okay. So that, with some luck, should hold everything down enough. For everything to be pretty flush. Yeah, looking good. So check the position of all the parts, that they are flat on the board and at the right angle. Push the LEDs to the faceplate and do the soldering. LEDs, solder just one leg first, align them to the faceplate. You start by soldering just one leg of each component so you can make adjustments easier by reheating. Okay, so after this should be done. Well, I seem to have run out of components, which is always a good sign. So I think that's probably the lot. All I've got to do now is throw the thing together, throw it in the case, and just check out that it works. But let's just keep going through. So what's next? It says jack connectors, faceplates, nuts, soldering. Oh yeah, it says cleaning. Oh, it says optional. Well, thank goodness for that, because I don't have any method of cleaning. It suggests that you might use an isopropyl alcohol. Now, I don't think they included any alcohol in the box. If they had, I probably would have drunk it. But I don't think they did, so I don't know. I guess I go with the yellow splodges on mine and think that that's fine, I guess. So check the boards. Everything is soldered properly. Well, yeah. Well, I think so. And funny enough, all these blobs of resin, what they do is show me that I've actually soldered everything. So that's useful in of itself. And I can't spot anything that I've missed. There's no obvious missing pieces. This one I can't see because I've still got this strapped on the front. But that's okay. There's just a few resistors in there. Yep, can see those. Everything else is good. So final assembly. Congratulations, you've made it through. Thank you. Now put the boards back together. Put the faceplate on. That, like that, a bit like that. Okie doke. Like that. Like that. Yeah. Little screw in there. Got to put the rest of these on. Smart. This power red line red line goes to power there. Got 3 knobs. Ooh, it's quite nice. Three. So jumpers I've got to put on. Right, so I've got 4 of these things here, these little blue things. And these are jumpers for this lot of stuff here. Right, okay, well I don't know what these do as yet, but let's stick one on there. One on there. One on there. One missing there, and then one goes on that one, apparently. That is a pretty decent looking little module. Look at that. How fascinating is that? Pretty fascinating, I think you'll agree. Nice. I'm really quite pleased with that. It came together in a couple of hours, as I said, as I planned to. And I'm quite keen to know what it does. But I'm going to have to do that later. But yeah, as a whole, for the build, it was good. I mean, it was easy. The way that they talked you through it with pictures. Oh, I love the fact that there are pictures showing components in places, because that's easy. I'm not having to read lines on resistors or trying to work out which thing is which. It's in the picture. It's there. It's very, very clear. Even though there's not an immediate list of components and their values like I'm used to from Bafako, the fact that it's so step by step and with photographs of everything is completely awesome. So thank you for that, Bastl. I really appreciate that level of detail when putting something together, because you can just see that it's right, because the pictures show you that it's right. It's right. You don't have that layer of doubt and that feeling of kind of freewheeling like you do with some other modules. Great, well, an interesting Arduino based little module. I wonder where my pathway is going to take me. Let me read again from what has now become my lifestyle magazine. So it's the story of the mouse living in the countryside that also makes you think differently towards the environment. Composed of living and non-living entities, biotica and non-biotica, machines and mechanisms where complex interactions constitute anyone's presence. Lately, there were mice in the kitchen. Of course, the first reactions range from putting up poison to placing deadly traps. But there are other ways. And I am having 2 different ultrasonic sine wave generators with special speakers. But then again, mice get used to it after a couple of weeks. Also, it can give humans a rather strange feeling in the head. Right, he has a Peterson ultrasonic device for listening to bats, and probably my ears are a little trained because of that. So I feel as bad as the mice in the end, and then avoid the kitchen as well. So thinking about it, one cannot deny the insanity of the human activity of capturing animals. Why would we love a bird in a cage better than observe the trajectories it is making while flying? Now, why would we capture mice even if you set it free 5 kilometers further and leave their entry hole open? Yes, senseless indeed. It is more efficient to look for the holes and fill them. No mice anymore in the kitchen. So much about technology, environments, and how we are living in it. This is brilliant. I wish everybody else went to this much trouble. Oh look, jumpers. Something about jumpers here. Oh, it actually tells you how to use it. Fantastic. Fantastic. Longitude is the safest route. Latitude is the most unpredictable, and altitude is related. It's related to the other 2 coordinates. So you have a clock input, a reset input, and then longitude, altitude, and latitude knobs set the amount of probability and generate a new pattern. Fully clockwise, all the steps are active. Counterclockwise, none of the steps are active. And each coordinate has a different travelling algorithm. Excellent. Dedicated CV input can be used to modulate the degree of the coordinate whose knob position will act as an offset. Trigger outputs. Separate output which delivers a trigger signal when the current step is active. Every time a trigger signal occurs, the LED on the right side will light. The mere navigation of plans. I'd be lying if I said that I didn't have plans. That is, that I still have the human reflex for planning, even though the act of time travel makes the futility of most plans hilariously obvious. Would you make plans differently if you knew viscerally, terribly, what the outcome would be? I suspect at times you wouldn't. Perfectly knowing the outcome of your plans is slightly inhuman. I find myself doing things I know will fail, just to feel, to remember linearity, to recapture the thrill of not knowing. This is awesome! Right, anyway, enough of that. I have things to do, places to go, people to see. I hope that little run through of the build was useful to you, and now let's get on with the testing and see what it is, see what the heck it is this crazy module could possibly accomplish. Right, we're back. The next day, wasn't able to test this out last night, but here, just as a reminder, is the beautiful KOMPAS. KOMPAS. It's a pathway, it's an adventure, it's a journey, it's all those sorts of things. I'm going to plug it in here to see whether my soldering works. Now, there's nothing clever, there's no trims or anything, because it's all based on a little Arduino that's sitting in there. So all I should have to do is plug it in, turn it on, and see what occurs. Let's do that then. And screw it in. Good, right, perfect. Perhaps. Let's turn it on. Ready. Oh. Well, it has no lights at the moment. Because I suspect what it's waiting for is a clock. Let's give it a clock from the varigate. Okay, getting a light. It's a good sign. Getting a light there. 2 lights. Getting a light. Getting some lights. Okay, good. Right, that's a good start. Let's see what any of that's going to mean. So I'm going to need to plug it into something. CV trigger 1 into the in on my drums over here. Woo! Woo! Well, that's exciting. So let's just turn that reverb down a little bit. Okay, so that's one thing going on. Let's give it another thing. To the trigger number 2. Let's give it a more interesting sound. Then we've got trigger 3. I'm going to stick into my Bastl over here, which is always good for a laugh. Okay, so, well, I've got 3 sounds going on. Let's see what happens when I turn the knobs. So let's put everything down to the left. Okay, so it's taking in a clock, nothing is going on. So if I use latitude at the top, so turn it round, it becomes more of something. And when I go all the way around, then it's just playing all the time. If I take altitude, it does a similar thing, but in a different way apparently, using different sort of probabilisticness. Then if I take longitude, And this is done, this one goes on the relationship between the other two. There's not necessarily a whole lot going on because the other two aren't doing anything. As I turn the other two up, that should get more complicated. That's really nice. Okay, so let's get this round the right way. I might have had that round the wrong way to start with. Is longitude, which is the bottom knob, is the safest route. So that means, I guess it's the most predictable. Latitude is the most unpredictable route, so the one that's been doing the kick drum, which has been really nice all the way. That one is the most unpredictable. And then this one in the middle relates to the other two. So you've got to get these round the right way, otherwise I'm never going to quite understand anything. Yeah, this is it, man. This is exactly it. Right, then once you stop playing with that, it has these CV inputs. So my assumption is I can take an LFO and I can jam it into one and see what happens. So I'm going to get a bit of randomness from the music thing Turing machine. So I've just got a sine wave going into the kick drum, so that's just going from sort of nothing to lots and lots and back again. Let's plug in randomness into everything. So yeah, I would say the LCB control is something which one would experiment with, whereas I'm quite liking having a little bit of hands-on control there at the moment. Well, I'm massively enjoying this. What a result. What a thing. Yes, I mean, it's exactly what it was that I was after. Something that kicks out triggers in a probabilistic kind of way. Something which is like the Turing machine, but takes more of that stuff and gives me more control over it. And I quite like the pulses that you expander I did to the Turing machine recently, but that I wasn't really sure what was going on. I didn't seem to have any control over what it was kicking out. It was just kicking stuff out. Whereas this, I'm able to create all sorts of obvious and less obvious textures and rhythms. I mean, that's totally there. Totally there, man. Now, if I was to take a bit of a tune out of something, use my lovely Delta V to trigger a bit of an envelope. There you go, there you have it, the Bastl Compass. That's interesting. I now think I need two. Maybe I need two. Because there's a lot you can do. I mean, it can run your percussion, it can run your triggers for different things, it can run your envelopes. It suddenly becomes alive with all sorts of possibilities. Yeah. So, all right then, I'll do another video of just purely the compass, playing with that for 10 minutes. I think would probably be quite interesting and illuminating. I mean, I like the way that I was able to run something obvious like my kick drum and a hi-hat and that kind of thing. And then it gets a bit more interesting when I stick into the percussionist. That starts, yeah, okay. But there's a whole world in there that you've got to work out as well, you know, as an aside, so it becomes less simple very quickly. But then wiring in, triggering the envelopes to a little bass line, yeah. How cool is that? It becomes a little groove machine, and it found grooves. That was a thing. Very quickly, it found another groove. Yeah, I was going with that, and you could throw things in and take things out. Yeah, that's exactly it. Hands-on, knob twiddling, percussion stuff that I'm not having to program it in. I'm not having to decide exactly where the hits hit. I can just start dialing in the craziness and dial it back and dial it forward. That is awesome. So I feel like I'm finding some kind of path, and through adversity I've got drills and stuff going on over there, and somebody mowing the lawn and stripping down weeds and stuff. I keep forgetting to put my flipping mic on. All sorts of craziness and zaniness. I've got so much work on, so many things to do, and Compass comes along and just entertains me. It entertains my thought process. It entertains the rhythms of myself, and I can just sit there and start and start playing. It's beautiful. That's what I want. I want something that brings me in and wants me to play, and I think I can get an awful lot of mileage out of this fella. So that was the Bastl Compass. Do check out my other video on it, where I'm just going to do like a no talking demo, just a demo of what it can do, a bit more from what you've just seen, in order to just enjoy that for the wonder that it is. And I'm sure I'm going to think up other ways of using it. I mean, what other ways could I use it? I mean, it's triggers ultimately, so could I be triggering I don't know, all sorts of things. I could be using it as a clock. I could be using it to advance a sequence. I could be using a sequence to reset it as well. So it has this reset input, which I've not really done anything with. And also I could start getting into the CV control over the individual parameters in order to keep it continuously changing. And in what ways do I need that? Am I relying too heavily on a kick drum? Yeah, probably, whereas there's other things it could be doing that don't require that, or perhaps don't require quite so much regiment. Interesting. So I will leave you with a reading from the manual where it says, once a musical or visual structure is created, and since it has been done and listened to, listen to this, it has no more life. Because today it is possible to make a new one, and also quite easily. Indeed, I asked myself, what is the goal of exhibiting? Maybe it is just to say, look what you can do. Maybe it is. Maybe it's all about that. Maybe the reason for these videos is just to go, look what you can do. Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's exactly what I'm doing. Look at what you can do. I'm not trying to go, look at my skills. Aren't I awesome at this module? No. The purpose of all this is to go, look at this module. Somebody made this. Somebody put these things together and has stuffed it out there. And I want to show you, look at the sort of thing it can do. So how can you take that and do wonderful things with it? That's what it's all about. So the Bastl Compass again. Great fun. 3 things. It does triggers and that. Awesome. I hope that was useful to you. And in the meantime, go and make some tunes.